Well, you made it through week one. Congratulations on that. And now we're going to head towards week two. And in week two, you're going to work on your next rough draft for your professional portfolio. I have the templates and the example template or portfolio on this presentation, so you should have those with you. So basically, what will happen by the middle of this week, hopefully by Tuesday, I'll get you feedback on your first rough draft. I'll give you feedback on, not much feedback on your introduction. Again, I'm not grading that. But I'll give you feedback on your executive summary sections. If you need to make any edits to that and modifications, changes, those changes need to be included in the draft that's due at the end of week two. So for this week, we're going to do the artifact section. So you'll have done your introduction, your summary section, now the artifact section. So the first thing you need to do is find evidence, proof that you meet the assigned standard or domain at your as a PE teacher or coach. So for a PE teacher, it's pretty straightforward. That should be a lesson plan that demonstrates you are meeting the SHAPE Standard 1 and the grade level outcomes for the grade that you teach. So that's your artifact, is your lesson plan. For coaches, since domain 1 is about a athlete-centered philosophy, so you should have your coaching philosophy for your artifact. If you don't have a coaching philosophy, this would be a really good time to write one. If you don't know how to write a coaching philosophy, search Google. There's a lot of good resources for that. You actually will do that in another class in this graduate program, but that's at a later time. Sorry, we couldn't sequence the courses in such a way that you would do that. But since this is one of your first classes in the grad program, that's just the way it is. For strength and conditioning coaches, I believe that the first standard, it has to do with pre-participation physical examinations. How do you know if your client is ready to start exercising? What do you do to make sure that they are healthy, reasonably healthy, so that they can start an exercise routine? That's your evidence. That's your artifact. Now the artifact. We'll go to the example of a professional portfolio, and I'm going to scroll to the actual place where this student put the artifact, which is in the appendix. Since this student, the athletic training students, have two standards that they have to satisfy for each of their portfolios, they'll have two artifacts. So they put the artifact in the appendix. So for most of you, you're just going to have one artifact for this particular rough draft. So the artifact does not need to follow the formatting feature, but you still need to be able to turn that artifact in a Word document in one file when you turn this in. So whatever that artifact is, got to make sure that you can put it in the appendix of your portfolio. And since this student has two artifacts, they went to Appendix B, which you'll do in your second portfolio or part 2 of your portfolio. So let's go back up to the actual artifact section then. Okay, that's the summary. Okay, so now we are in the artifact section, and in the artifact section, it doesn't matter if you're a coach or a PE teacher. What you're going to do is you're going to explain the artifact itself first to give the reader some idea of what the artifact is about. So this is a section that students struggle the most with. And and I'm not too sure why. What we're trying to have you do is what I'm trying to have you do is to prove that you are meeting the assigned standard or domain as a PE teacher or coach. So you need to spend a paragraph or two explaining the lesson plan, then explaining your philosophy statement, or explaining the pre-participation physical examination, or whatever you use as a strength and conditioning coach. About a paragraph or two explaining the artifact, then the next 2 to 4 paragraphs explaining why that artifact demonstrates that you are meeting the assigned standard. For coaches, you'll notice that there are standards within each domain you can start touching on or the benchmarks within each standard. You can start bringing that language in, that information in from the NASP document that shows that you are meeting that particular standard or domain. Now, again, read the athletic training portfolio. They give you an idea how this is done. I'm one of those type of learners that if I have a model to follow or an example to follow, it helps me with writing. So that's why I provided this for you. Again, I didn't provide you a coaching or a PE teacher one because I didn't want you just to copy and paste it from somebody else. So if you have any questions about this, please post them in the Q&A forum. I'm here to help you with this. Again, this is probably the most difficult section to write. I don't know why it is, but it is. Don't assume that the reader has any background information. Provide detail on this. But I think once you do it once, I think the rest of the time will become easier. And again, you're reading a final draft from the student, so the student had a couple opportunities for me to help them with this draft. And notice again that they are supporting their information with references. They are providing evidence to support the material. You need to also do that too. And then other thing to notice is that here when the student for the first time tells me where the document, the artifact is located, they tell me it's in the Appendix A. You need to do that also when you address where the actual artifact is located. Just the first time. You don't have to refer back to it every single time, just the very first time that you refer to it. Again, post your questions in the question and answer forum because I assume that you'll have questions, and that's fine. I'm here to help.